Hey, everyone out there rambling about Racing Nation. Matt Beamer here alongside Charlie Hercus and Austin Reeves, bringing you the latest and greatest from the world of auto racing. We got the big Kansas race that had major playoff implications. The Italian Formula One Grand Prix, I guess you could probably say that was the bus. And Indy Car crowned a new champion. Let's get into it. This is a production of ITM Media. Yes, we had an interesting weekend of racing here, whether you're watching it from Formula One side, the NASCAR side, or the IndyCar side. A lot of moving parts here this weekend, but worry not. The crew is here to break it all down for you. Hello, everyone. Matt Beamer here alongside Charlie Hercus and Austin Reeves, bringing you the latest and greatest from the world of auto race. And again, can't stress enough, consistency means everything, and I think that's going to be the motto for this week's episode. It's going to be a crazy talk. We got a lot to talk about here, but first and foremost, guys, how's it going there from the great state of Alabama?
Going good. Just another weekend there, and another weekend of racing. So just getting ready for my last race of the season here this coming weekend. Need a good showing, to be honest with you. So it's going to be a double points race. It's still a possibility for me, but we'll see what happens. So we definitely got to talk about our iRacing between the three of us.
Yeah, we
happened. So
we did here this past weekend is we decided for once I was able to get online and do iRacing with you guys. And I said, yeah, we'll do it. And we signed up for this one league. I got it right here. Vigilante Racing League, or VRL. And they're located there in the world of iRacing here. And Charlie actually found it. They're racing Daytona. I think they were racing trucks at Daytona, if I'm not mistaken.
They were.
And we decided to go on there kind of just a whim. It was just a recruitment race, 50 laps, not a whole lot, but there were a lot of stuff thrown in there. Like they had only 40% of fuel in there, so we couldn't make a full fuel run. So the attempt was to break up the pack and make it a little more interesting, a little more strategy. Didn't work out like that, but however, unlimited quick repairs. And what a quick repair is, if you're not familiar with iRacing, is it's kind of just a reset. You go into the pits and everything's fixed. Tires, damage, everything. So our idea was, and Charlie figured out a way to have us all communicate. So we were able to communicate there on iRacing, which was perfect. And we started the race in the back and worked our way up, got caught up in a few wrecks. In fact, I think Austin got caught up in every accident during that race.
All 36 of them.
It was a lot of wrecks. The goal was to have each of us try to pit together within every 8 to 9 laps. That never happened. Green flags to pit stops, and it happened once. It was just chaos from the start. Even the race directors came on and said, we are so sorry. This is not the way it's supposed to happen. But it was well put together. I'm kind of tempted to join that league coming up here at the end of September before we get to Talladega to see what we could do and bring to the table there with ITM Media Racing, or rambling about racing, motorsports, or whatever you guys want to call it. But it was a lot of fun. And I'm going to let Charlie explain the end, or Austin, because the end is really where it came up. And if you follow us on social media, more so Twitter, you would have seen our tweet talking about a preview for this week's episode here. And I just want to leave it to one of you two to give first of all, your impressions of the league. And second of all, it was just fun.
You want to handle it?
Sure. Well, our bet was, and this really didn't get determined until the middle of the race.
I think
we had a bet.
Yeah, it was the start of the race. And I said, okay, loser buys the first case of beer at Talladega.
Whoever finishes the worst out of us
Whoever finishes the worst, the loser buys the first case of beer. That was the bet. Everybody said, okay, it sounds like a fair bet. And we all agreed. Continue.
I didn't know we had a bet, but okay.
I think you were selectively hearing there, Austin? Because everybody heard it.
We were I don't. I mean, I finished last. I mean, it don't matter to me, right? In a bit, but okay.
All right, so we're carrying on with the race here, and we end up in a green-white checker ordeal. Well, this series only runs one green-white checker finish, and that's it. So we take the white flag, and of course they're wrecking, and we all get caught up in the wreck, of course. And they say, "Hey, we're not throwing a caution." At this time, I had already straightened out my truck. I shift down to second, and I get going. I hear Matt on the radio, "You son of a beep."
I recall swearing at all during that race.
And I get going. I wound up finishing 7th after starting dead last. And so out of us three, I finished 7th. I think Matt and Austin finished 13th or 14th or 14th and 15th. 12th and 13th.
Okay.
So we all three finished much better than we started because we all three just did not qualify. We opted to just start in the rear and just have fun with it. And we did because, man, we laughed and we laughed and we laughed. Except for one time when I got really mad and just threw my headset because Austin decided, oh, well, this guy's holding me up. I'm just going to go to the outside and pass him, and decided he put me into the wall to go to the outside. And, man, I was furious. I wound up like 4 laps down, got the laps back, and the only way I forgave Austin, I was like, Austin, are we back on the lead lap?
It took him a solid 8 laps to communicate with us.
Yeah.
Like me and Matt were chit-chatting, and all of a sudden I hear, Austin, we're in the lead lap now. I was like,
I quit talking. I was still pretty upset.
Now, there was this one point where I did see that. I heard Austin say, "Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm ahead of them. I'm way ahead of them. I'm focused on my race and trying to figure out what I'm going to do throughout the race." And I just see Charlie throw down probably his $100 headset over a video game. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
I almost backed out at that point.
I'm racing. And what was good about this recruitment race was under the caution, he allowed people to get their laps back. He would give people a wave around if they were a lap down. So there was more.
Thank goodness for a lot of cautions.
So there was a lot of cautions. That goes to show the number of cautions that there were during the race. And then it also went to go to show just how good this VRL is. It's a fun league. I'm looking forward to it. It's broadcast on YouTube. Should we join, we'll definitely promote them. But continue, Charlie. We're on the final lap. Green, white, checkered. You dropping in the second. You're ahead of us.
Yep.
There's more to the story.
Well, carry on, because I'm really blacking out.
I get it. So we come over the radio. Charlie's like, "Where'd I finish?" I said, "Charlie, you finished 7th. Me and Matt finished 12th, 13th." So me and Matt had busted engines, oil temps getting up, everything. We're just coasting. Well, Charlie comes over and says, "Top 10 finish." That calls for a celebration. So by this time, I have caught up to Matt. The only reason I knew it was Matt because it had a green bumper. And I saw where he was like 0.6 seconds in front of me. I was like, "That's Matt." And then Matt doesn't go down pit road, and I'm like, I want to see what's going to happen. And I see Charlie spinning out, and all of a sudden Matt squares Charlie up, and I'm talking about just, bam! I'm like, did that really just happen? And I look at my phone, and Matt's over here dying laughing. Charlie's like, "What was that?" And I'm talking about, I started dying laughing. Matt took Charlie out on his celebration. And it was funny.
I think it was more the way his demeanor was. It wasn't the fact that he was doing burnouts. I could care less. But it was just the fact that he went, "That calls for a celebration."
So I win out of the three of us, and I'm like, "Oh, well, I'm going to go do a burnout." And Matt just creams me.
In the replay and slowing it down is like 10 times as funny.
Because I did a complete 360 barrel roll. I don't know how I pulled that off, and then I
landed right back on the wheels.
I stuck the landing. It was great. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Then one of the big takeaways that I took from that was that we need to work on our communication. Should we do this? we need to just get on the same page here. But I feel like if we do join this racing league, there's going to come a point where, I don't care what you do. I'm going to win the race.
Well, me and Charlie stuck with each other the whole race. You was the one up front and riding around.
I found myself in a good position to maybe get a good finish.
How'd that work out for you?
I finished 7th. I finished what, 13th? You guys said 12th? I didn't finish last.
No, we didn't know we finished last.
That was a lot of fun. But then I heard you guys talking about on the group text this past weekend about a baby shower and jalapenos.
Yeah, so the jalapeno story, I have to wait. However,
okay,
my story is PG enough or PG-13 enough for the show. So Austin and Kaylin.
Just remember this: I don't like editing the podcast to the point where it's like I have to add tracks and add censors. You may continue.
No censors.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. So Austin and Kaylin are up there opening their gifts at the baby shower and stuff like that. And I get this wild hair. I'm like, you know what? I left a gift out. I need to go get it real quick. And so me and Jason walk next door, and we get the gift real quick. And
where's next door at this point?
There's a gas station beside the place.
Okay.
Yeah. So we get the gift. We come back. I got the gift in my pocket. They get done opening the presents, and they're on the last present or so. And I walk up there, and I'm standing beside Austin, and I was like, Austin, was that y'all's last gift? And he says, yeah, that was it. I said, okay, y'all stay seated. And I said, hey, if I can have everybody's attention, I said, we got one more gift. And I said, as we all know, these type things can get kind of expensive. When you rent this place out, all the gifts. I said, especially when she's spitting 2 of them out at a time. I said, these type things add up. I said, so in order to prevent this type stuff from happening, we got Austin. We got a one more gift, and I pulled out a box of condoms out of my pocket and handed it to Austin. And boy, everybody lost it. It was super funny. Austin just hung his head low and just started dying laughing. Kaylin was laughing. I'm glad she was laughing because she'd probably never talk to me again. So I did clear it with Kaylin's mama first before I did that. So it was funny, though. Man, it was funny.
It was funny. It was funny. But when Charlie started talking in a serious voice, I'm like, I don't know where this is going.
I wasn't cracking a smile up there.
Like I literally
it was almost like I was up there kind of giving a eulogy, and Austin just didn't know what to expect.
No, like I thought he was literally fixing to tell me that I wasn't the father or something. Like that's how serious he was. And I'm like, yep, well, hey, here we go, child support, baby, there it is. And then he hands me a box, and I'm like, oh, that's 10 out of 10 right there.
So then Austin has the nerve to turn around and tell Kaylin, well, I can take these to Talladega with me. I was like, no. I was like, horrible idea. No. I was like, well, Austin's not going to Talladega no more.
Newsflash. I actually am going to Talladega. I cleared that this weekend. So me and Eddie are still on the road to Talladega.
Unfortunately, I don't think Preston will be joining us for Talladega this year.
He's going to miss out.
Oh, I got the email today, as a matter of fact, saying I can log on and print the tickets out. So,
wait, print the tickets?
Yeah, they are not like mailing me any tickets, so it will be all digital.
How am I going to include the ticket in my wall of fame?
Well, I guess you'll have a printed copy to add in your wall of fame.
It's a nice wall. It's history right there. That's going to be handed down to my daughter one day. The legacy of my.
Well, I'll be sure to sign your ticket so it means something.
Whatever. Whatever. Well, I'm glad everybody's doing well. I hope everyone's doing well out there, whether you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter, or if you're listening to us on your regular podcast platform or B.U.R.N.S Radio. Really do appreciate it. Nothing from this in, just counting down the days. The more I look at the schedule for NASCAR, the closer Talladega gets to the top. I can't wait. I'm glad you're going, Austin. I can't wait to see everybody. It's going to be a lot of fun. I have a feeling that show after Talladega is going to be 10%
Talladega
race
and 100%
90% the
what
party.
happened.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be like the Daytona escapades.
It's going to be fun with just us three, but when you throw Eddie in the mix, like
I don't even know who Eddie is. Who's Eddie?
Austin's father-in-law.
My father-in-law.
Oh, I met him.
I'm telling you, like once you throw Eddie in the mix, like this.
Do you think the only reason why Eddie's going with you, Austin, is because to keep tabs on you? Because
Absolutely not.
No. It'd be, if anything, it's the other way around.
Yeah,
He's
Austin's
going
going to keep tabs on Eddie.
him.
oh
Yes.
no, Eddie sounds
Yeah.
fun.
But if something happens there, at least Austin's mother-in-law is available at that point in time.
Oh no. Oh man.
Oh man.
You needless to say, I might be going to bed at 10 o'clock, maybe 11 o'clock every night just to have plausible deniability.
Kalen's going to be calling me daddy after all.
I've never seen somebody lock a tent. Matt's going to buy a lock for his tent.
You could just easily just cut it in. You guys will be drunk enough. You'll cut the holes in it and be like, we're in. Got you. I'm just going to bring the camper. I should just bring the camper and say, don't. Yeah, you guys would tip it over. Never mind. We'll just be like, tipping it over.
Who wants to go camper tipping tonight?
Oh, my God.
Me.
I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed.
Howard, go get your jack man and your field man.
Hey.
Come on.
Hey, who bets we can go down there and sabotage Wallace's car?
Lord, we'll get thrown in jail. That's
Again, I'm going to be in my tent and be like, what happened here? I was asleep the whole time, officer.
that's jail time. Right?
Yeah, I'm not going to. I'm not. Anyway. Yeah. Well,
It wasn't registered with the DMV.
oh, here we go. Here we go. So let's go ahead and get into it before we get too far down the rabbit hole of Talladega. Needless to say, stay tuned for the Talladega post-race show. We're going to have fun. There's going to be a few people there that we know. Howie said he'd hang out with us. Hopefully he keeps his promise.
I think he will.
Because if he doesn't, then that's the whole point we went down to Talladega.
Yeah.
No, I think he will. I actually texted him this week, and he texted back, and we chatted back and forth. So
Yeah,
I think Howie's straight.
I think the fact that he's still staying in touch with us and chatting back and forth, he'll keep his word.
I tell you what, after he was on the show, that was a fun hour. Just Caroline was mad at me when I came in. It's like, what took so long? It's like, well, we were having beer with the NASCAR driver.
No, you probably didn't walk in. You probably stumbled in because man, we got tore up that episode.
Yeah, that was a fun episode. That was a fun episode in the sense of at the beginning and the end we were just trashed, but then like
the beginning was good, but then the middle was great and the end sucked.
The beginning we were tipsy, the middle we were completely sober, and in the end
we were
inebriated. That was a fun episode.
Who y'all got winning next week's Cup race? Rusty Wallace.
Crusty Rusty.
Rusty Wallace. Well, speaking of that, let's get into this past weekend's races. We're going to start off with Formula One. Did you guys catch the F1 race?
Yeah, I went back and watched it.
Okay.
No, I never mind. I watched it live. I'm sorry.
Okay, we watched the Formula One race and we started the group chat right when the final safety car came out. Pretty much it was a Verstappen, it was a Leclerc show and then the Verstappen show. And it was getting down to the point where something needed to happen where Charles Leclerc, who was running second, needed to have happen in order to catch Max Verstappen there in the lead.
Mm-hmm.
The safety car comes out for Daniel Ricciardo's car being disabled in the track, and they needed to take it off. 5 laps to go. The safety car came out. Everybody pitted for soft tires because everybody was anticipating a sprint to the finish.
Mm-hmm.
Where I lost interest was the laps were counted down. The car is clear. They needed to let the lap down cars go. And then you heard, and then they were hopefully going to go back green. But then you heard over the radio from Charles Leclerc, race engineer, race is going to end under the safety car. At that point, I was so upset that I turned off the broadcast and walked away.
Which, unfortunately, that is the rules, which is the exact opposite of what happened at the end of last season. So the FIA got put in a dang if you do, dang if you don't situation. Last year, they tried to finish the race under green.
And they did finish the race in the
exactly for the betterment of the fans,
right,
which is what they should have done this race. But there was so much hate. Well, that's not the rules. That's not the rules. So they went by the rules this race and got so much hate. So there's going to have to be a change there to where, and a lot of people on that page that I follow and stuff, it's like, hey, look, if there's, say, like, even they said, you know, if of course they hated NASCAR a little bit. Look, if NASCAR can figure this out, Formula One can figure this out. You know, pretty much if you get down to 3 to go, then red flag it and pretty much have a rolling start. You know, just like you would if the safety car was out there or whatever. And it be pretty much a green, white, checker finish in Formula One. Don't have a complete stop and a grid start, but you pretty much have a rolling start and you have a green, white, checker finish, a 2-lap shootout. You bunch them back up, sure. And you have a green, white, checker finish for Formula One.
Yeah, it's just a
2-lap shootout. The lap count freezes with 3 laps to go, or you could red flag the race with 3 laps to go. And sure, everybody's got a chance to pit at that point. Fine. Same way with NASCAR. You think they're going to pit? Sure. Depending on where everybody is in that race. But at that point in time, everybody had pitted in Formula One. And I think that would make Formula One a lot more interesting than it finishing under caution. It's the same issue NASCAR had years ago, that if there was a late race caution, that there was a possibility of the race ending under caution. NASCAR fixed that with the green, white, checker rule, that the race could not end under caution unless the caution came out during the white flag. So I think the FIA is going to have to adapt some type of rule to similar to that to benefit their organization, but also to satisfy the fan base based off of situations like the end of last year, but also races like this past weekend.
I'm totally okay with if the red flag were to come out, do a standing start. I like the standing starts. I think it makes it a little more interesting because I feel like in Formula One, once the safety car starts pulling away, it's on the leader at that point. He could go anytime he wants once the safety car is clear. I don't like that because there's no, like in NASCAR where you have a restart zone where that's where the leader can go anytime he wants. I like it where after red flag, there is a standing start. It makes it more exciting for me to do that.
If they do a standing start, don't base it off the lights then. Do a standing start, but base it off the leader.
What do you mean?
You just tell the leader go whenever?
No. I don't like that.
The leader fires. And it's based off of everybody's reaction time.
Well, so the lights are based off of everybody's reaction time. And it's everybody knows when to go.
I mean, that's fine, but everybody's seeing the lights, but that would be just as fair for the leader for him to get the judge to start, being he was the leader at the time of the red flag. That's my only argument on that side.
I guess to your point, but at the same time, I was so upset with the finish of that race, that Italian Grand Prix, which up to that point was a good race. Anything could have happened. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of issues with cars, and Daniel Ricciardo's car happened to bring out the safety car because they needed to clear it off the track. And then Formula One wanted to make sure everything was good off the track, make sure there was no debris on the track. But man, I feel like they missed a golden opportunity. And the announcers even said, Formula One isn't in the business to make grandstand finishes. They're in the business to make sure everybody's safe and follows the rules. If I bought a ticket to the Formula One Grand Prix there in Italy, I would be pretty upset with the outcome of that race. Not only that fact that Ferrari finished second with Charles Leclerc, I could care less that Max Verstappen won if I was there cheering for Ferrari. But the fact that I feel like I was robbed from what could have been a great finish had they said, everybody stop, let's finish this race under the green, if at all possible. So I think Formula One needs to find it. If NASCAR could do it, I know Formula One can. At least NASCAR attempts it.
At least find their own version of it, I guess.
At least find your own version of it. There's got to be a solution to it. Now, I can understand on the final lap, should it in the big accident happen to cause a safety car, yeah, okay, finish the race. But with 5 laps to go on a, 2-3 mile track, I'm pretty sure you could find time to. You could find there's a solution to that issue. But that race made me upset. I don't know about. Let us know what you think if you're watching us. What you thought about the Formula One race, or use hashtag what you think ITM to tell us about the Formula One Grand Prix from Italy in your opinion. I didn't much care for it. I thought it could have been better, but it could have been way worse if you were asking me.
Yeah, except for the end. Overall, I mean, it was some good racing throughout the field. That what was this? DeVries, whatever his name is. DeVries.
Oh, that new guy. Yeah.
I mean, he performed very well for his debut race
in a Williams, nonetheless.
Yeah.
If Preston was here, he would be able to tell us exactly what his name is. But yeah, I thought he did a good job. But man, I think the fact that it ended under caution like that took it away from me. It's kind of like my first Indy Car race, although it was the race where Justin Wilson was killed in. I feel like that overshadowed it more, but the fact that it ended under caution just kind of ruined the race the rest of the way. You know what? It was just weird. I didn't like that, but I think Formula One does need to do something. What they should do, I think we threw out a lot of good options, but for the Formula One and the FIA need to figure out something, because I feel like the fans of Italy got robbed. Everybody got, unless you're from the Netherlands or a Max Verstappen fan, you weren't happy with the outcome of that race.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just me. Switching over to NASCAR now. First of all, Indy Car wrapped up their season here, and Will Powers. Will Powers won the championship.
Yep.
For the IndyCar season. And something about IndyCar, man, just real quick here. And IndyCar ran 4 oval races this season: Texas, Worldwide Technology Center Racing, Iowa, and Indy for the Indianapolis 500. 4 races were oval. 4 races to me were worth the watch, and even then, not all of them were spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
I think they need to find a better level there, because there's really not much to talk about with IndyCar. I'm not a big IndyCar guy because they don't race on ovals all the time. I like the oval racing aspect of IndyCar. If it's split 50-50, it's split 50-50. That's fine. But I could nitpick this all day. I'm not going to really go down a rabbit hole right now, but congratulations, Will Power, for winning a championship there in IndyCar. Wish there would be more ovals.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. They should run Talladega.
That would be just absolutely crazy.
That would be crazy. Those cars would fly.
They would. I would feel really unsafe about having anybody.
Borderline dangerous.
Yeah, that would be straight up.
Just kidding about Talladega.
All right. The Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series from Kansas Motor Speedway this past weekend. John Hunter Nemechek starting off in the Truck Series here. John Hunter Nemechek winning that race, dominating that race, starting in the first position and finishing first. 2 drivers eliminated from that playoff standings. We have Carson Hocevar, who did not make the next round, and surprisingly enough for me, Matt Crafton didn't make it. Thoughts on the truck race from Kansas?
I thought it was a good race all around. I really thought Hocevar's crew made a good call to put him there at the end. He didn't have the speed that John Hunter had, and, he passed him. And then what really got me was his crew chief told him, hey, we don't have to win the race to, lock ourselves into the next round. And then they weren't catching up with was it Hercus? I mean, not Hercus, Rhodes.
Yeah, they weren't paying attention.
Yeah,
it was Christian Eckes, I think.
Yeah, it was Christian Hercus, and he kept climbing up, and then by the time he finished second, he was -3 maybe. I think it was 3 points, and then he didn't make it. But all around, it was a good race for me.
I thought it was an all right race. Typical truck race at Kansas. Not really anything to write home about, to be honest with you. Kind of a dominating performance by John Hunter Nemechek. I thought it was okay. It was something to watch on a Friday night. Let's say that.
Yeah, I think the Bristol race is coming Thursday. It'll be something to watch for sure.
I think all 3 races coming up here in Bristol are going to be something to watch here.
Yeah, especially the Cup Series.
Oh, yeah. We're going to get more into that here in a second. The Xfinity Series race ended under a weather issue. Noah Gragson ending up being in the catbird seat, winning 2 in a row there. Noah having a very dominant run there. Definitely a championship favorite here moving forward before they start their playoffs here soon. I didn't watch the Xfinity race. I listened to it a little on the radio. However, I was busy taking care of stuff around the house and taking care of honey-do list. So I didn't get to watch it, but listen to it on the radio right when stage 2 ended. And there was something on the radio about Ty Gibbs and I believe Justin Allgaier.
Yeah. So there was about 3 laps to go or so, or 2 laps to go in stage 2. And I didn't see the initial contact, but I saw Allgaier retaliate. And he door slammed the crap out of Gibbs on the last lap of stage 2. And I was like, man, if this thing winds up running, the third stage as well, if they go back green or whatever, like he's probably gonna have some damage to deal with.
But did he retaliate? Because I thought the way it looked like to me is one came up and one came back at the wrong time. That's the way I looked at it.
I don't know, but then they went back and showed it. I don't know it. We all know how Gibbs has been all year too, as aggressive as he's been and stuff like that. So I would like to say that it ain't what happened, but at the same time, with the way Gibbs has drove this year, I wouldn't put it past him to have just with the rain coming and stuff like that. They knew it was coming. I wouldn't put it past him to have forced the issue and hit him pretty good there as well to try and get that second place going into the end of stage 2 there, and Allgaier to have voiced his displeasure that last lap with Gibbs. So I don't think you've probably seen the end of that one. I think there's a lot of drivers in the playoffs there with the Xfinity Series that have, not that they're into playoffs, that are probably going to start voicing their displeasure, like wrecking him, but not giving him any room to race.
Making it hard to pass.
Making it very, very hard for him.
Right, putting those elbows out there.
Yeah.
And by the way,
making that car 3 times wider.
And the final race before the playoff start for the Xfinity Series is this weekend at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Cup Series from Kansas, Bubba Wallace. Very strong performance, starting 6th, finishing 1st there. He won it under green flag conditions. He won it in a dominating fashion, staying up in the top 5 all day. I should say, let's say here, staying in the top 5 all day, finishing 5th in stage 1, 4th in stage 2, and winning the race overall. He had a very strong car there at Kansas. Yet we still have people out there bringing issue to that. A lot of stuff I'm hearing, it was rigged. That Denny Hamlin let him win. Bubba Wallace only won because he was in Kurt Busch's car. All that just kind of rolls off my back. I'm sure some people will have reason to say it, but other than that, I've never heard anybody else say any of this stuff in regards to any other driver except Bubba Wallace. I'm going to turn the floor to you guys. What do you guys think of that? Bubba Wallace.
Austin, you tackle that one first. I'll go last.
I mean, I gotta agree with you. You know, I was the main one in the group chat saying it, especially after Denny said he got loose. I'm like, no, he's just letting him win. And then I kind of joked about it. You know, Bubba has to win in his teammate's car. But you're gonna have haters everywhere. And I think Bubba has brought a lot of it on himself. I was kind of, you know, excited for him because one, he finished under green. It wasn't a rain canceled race. But you're still going to have haters, you know. Everybody has haters. Chase Elliott, Logano, Larson.
Yeah, I got plenty of people that don't like me.
I say us three, and we're not big time. So, I mean, you're always going to have them people.
Who doesn't like me?
You don't.
You have your days.
We all.
I'm just kidding.
I mean, just everybody has their haters. I mean, I wasn't Wallace fan, but I was rooting for him when he finished second in the Daytona 500, I think, behind Hamlin, and then he started all of his stuff he started doing, and then I just kind of, you know, was against him.
So I think it's more of a attitude that Bubba Wallace portrays than the driver of Bubba Wallace. If Bubba Wallace just drives the car, and he's proven that he can drive now, winning his second career race. If he cuts all other distractions, I'm going to call them distractions, out of the equation here, I think Bubba Wallace gets a better fan base, a more respected fan base. I'm sure he's respected in the garage area, but as far as the fans are concerned, I'm sure they will respect him a lot more than they do now if he just shuts up and drives.
Yeah, I'll agree. So the shut up and drive is the perfect thing to say. Not taken away from his win at all. Like, he drove, and he's been running better, period. He's had a lot of good runs lately, a lot of good top 10 runs. He's gotten a lot more consistent over the last, I'll say, 10 races. And he earned the win this past weekend. But he couldn't be humble about it. And that's where it ended for me. I was like, the win just ain't enough. He had to get out and just be, well, this will shut them the hell up. I'm like, you just have to get out and let your mouth take over.
You have to put fuel on the fire.
You can't let the win be enough. You can't just get out and thank some people and be a little bit humble. You have to let that mouth take over. Your mouth is why people don't like you from the get-go. Your mouth is what's got you in this position of the lack of respect that people have for you now. And once again, that lack of just humbleness or whatever you want to call it is what's going to get you. But once again, I think that's just his need to be the center of attention and need to be in the spotlight by whatever means necessary. And if it's negative attention, then so be it.
No, yeah, I could definitely see that. Unfortunately for Bubba Wallace, he needed to do that little gesture.
The whole little finger over the mouth.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean,
like, just let your driving. Your driving's what speaks the hush people up.
But at the same time,
go out there the next race and back it up with another top 5 finish. Go out there the next race and back it up with another great run. Go out there the next race, win another race. I mean, let your driving back it up. You don't have to run your mouth.
Well, at the same time, Kyle Busch had a reputation for doing that way long ago.
And there's a lot of people that didn't like him then, but
Kyle's
not running his mouth the way he used to either.
No, he's not.
And there's a lot of people that's liking him a lot more, myself included, is respecting Kyle Busch a lot more, especially this year with the way he's getting treated as well. So,
well, and Kyle Busch, doing that little crybaby thing when he won, I believe it was there at Kansas or it was at Kentucky, one of the two. It was just one of those things to me where Bubba Wallace just, I want to, like I've said it before in the show, I want to root for the guy. I want him to do well.
But it makes it hard to do so.
but he's set himself up to the point where he's somewhat, I feel, in a way, alienated some old school race fans or changes that he wanted to see, not necessarily conducive to leaving the sport alone as a whole. His ripple effects and tentacles have gone out a long way.
It's like he forced NASCAR's hand in a lot of stuff that didn't need to be played.
Right.
Knowing they couldn't not change it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that has to do with outside influences that we won't get into in this podcast because we're not that kind of podcast. But Bubba Wallace won. He won it in style. He saw the checkered flag fly over him, and I got to hand it to him. He does a nice burnout. Does a good burnout.
Haven't seen mine.
I thought it was a penalty.
I thought it was good.
He hasn't seen mine in your burnout yet.
It was way better than Charlie's on iRacing, and let's just say that.
It's because I got taken out.
He didn't have a fair shot.
No, okay. Fair enough.
He didn't find second gear yet.
Oh, okay. But
I did pop the motor, though. I popped the motor right before Matt said, kablam! It said, ping!
That's really what happened. We'll post it on YouTube. Just whoop. It was fun.
It said, ping, poof! I look like today Hardy's car, whenever Cole Trick will come back out onto the track, he said, ah!
Oh, man. So, switching gears from Bubba Wallace, now we got to talk about the elephant in the room here, which is the final four of the playoffs here coming up here in the cutoff race for Bristol. And I don't know about you guys, but my bracket is in jeopardy. For one, Christopher Bell is already locked into the next round on points. Not one driver's locked in with wins since Eric Jones and Bubba Wallace won Darlington and Kansas. But the bottom four go like this. -2 from the cut line, Kyle Busch. -3, Austin Dillon. -9, Chase Briscoe. And at an outstanding, I think, need a definite victory to advance at Bristol. Kevin Harvick -35. Who would have guessed that going into this race? 2 abysmal races in a row, 2 DNFs in a row. Not necessarily his fault, both of them. But Kevin Harvick now in a must-win going into Bristol. Will agree or disagree?
I still think Harvick got Chastained.
No, I think it was a racing incident.
I know it got the air taken off the nose of his car and stuff.
But Chastain
did run Jones up into
was it? No, I thought it was Wallace.
It was Wallace. He did run Wallace high up into Harvick, up in front of Harvick.
I mean, it's another one of those situations where
I'm gonna argue that he got Chastained all day long.
I mean, he could have lifted just like 4 or 5 other times.
It happened so fast.
And lost a position or two, but he stayed in it, pushed him up. And it didn't hit Harvick, but the air got around his nose and got all cattywampus and hit the wall.
Took it all off the nose and
he got Chastained.
Yep.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, Harvick's not necessarily in a must-win, but if one of those cars – if somebody doesn't fall out at the that's on the outside looking in on them playoffs or on the inside looking out, I guess, at the very, very beginning of that race, and he doesn't run up front all day, then he's in a must-win situation.
I think he's definitely in a must-win situation here because
he's ran good at Bristol plenty of times.
Run very well at Bristol. Of course, outside influences have taken him out. Like, I don't know, for instance, last year, Chase Elliott wanted to be a complete jerk and play that game. That's just Chase Elliott being Chase Elliott. Little crybaby.
Yeah. But you say that, we're supposed to go down a rabbit hole because I remember this episode last year very well.
He's just trying to instigate. But
I know exactly what he's doing.
He can't get under my skin because he's also a fan of Denny Hamlin and like Joey Logano and all these other crybabies. So,
touche. You got me there, buddy. Although I've never seen Logano win a race, I've seen everybody else listed on that list win a race. That's just what it is.
Yeah, me and you were at the Roval when.
Yeah, you got a nice koozie out of that one. But okay, so none of you think Kevin Harvick's in a must-win situation. I think he's in a must-win situation.
He's more than likely in a must-win situation.
I'm 95% positive he's got to win to go to the next round.
Right, because I feel like everybody, the guys in the danger zone for me here is Suarez, Tyler Reddick, and Austin Cindric. I feel like Kyle Busch could get up to and bounce Austin Cindric out. Dillon, I don't know. He's hit or miss. Briscoe, I'm not even going to throw a dart at that one. But I feel like Kevin Harvick needs to win. They need to pull a rabbit out of their hat, and they need to pull out a victory there at the Bristol night race in order to get into the round of 12.
Man, I just hate that I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay attention to my fantasy race because we'll be racing that night too. So,
well, stay tuned for updates here. But I think Harvick's in a must-win. It's going to be interesting to see here.
I'll have to give Jeff my phone and let him keep up with it if he comes to the race Saturday.
That's right. Well, hey, and speaking of the Cup Series, speaking of Kyle Busch here, announcement coming out tomorrow. The speculation is, by the time this comes out, the announcement will already be made. We would have shared it on social media. But all indications are that Kyle Busch will be going to race for Richard Childress Racing next year. Thoughts on that?
Well, I heard there was also going to be a public apology from Richard Childress for punching Kyle Busch a couple of years ago.
Is that where he said, hold my watch, or I'm taking my watch off or something? Okay.
Yeah.
Was that between him and Austin Dillon?
I think so.
No, what Austin?
I was just kidding. There's not going to be a public apology.
I don't think he apologized. I know what you're talking about.
Austin Dillon couldn't fight his own fight. Had to get Grandpa to do it.
Had to get Grandpappy.
Granddaddy.
Granddaddy, I'll give you this. I'll give you this silver platter out my butt if you hit him with it.
I'll let you be on next week's episode on my living in the fast lane.
Okay. Pop quiz here. Pop quiz down the rabbit hole here. If you were starting a race team and there are only two drivers to choose from, who would be on your race team? Charlie, Bubba Wallace, or Austin Dillon?
I steal my Chargers.
Man, that's a tough choice.
You have to pick. You have to pick Austin Dillon or Bubba Wallace.
That contract would be very strict, but it'd be Wallace.
Ooh.
He's a better driver, but like Charlie said, like there would be like a 4,000-page contract. Like you can't say this, you can't do this.
He wouldn't be able to just go out there and all the political side that he's played. Absolutely not. You show up and you race.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Charlie. It'd have to be Wallace just because he is a better driver.
All right, fair enough. But speaking of Kyle Busch here, going back to Kyle Busch here, what do you guys think of him? It sounds like the rumors are flowing and it's going towards Richard Childress Racing. This past weekend in Kansas, they asked about it. He said nothing has come out yet. We heard today from Kyle Busch's social media accounts, big announcement Tuesday, the 13th of September. What do you guys think? Do you think it is Richard Childress? And if so, how will that help out the organization?
I think it is. I think
go ahead,
Richard. I think RCR made a big mistake on not re-signing Reddick for like a multi-year extension. And Busch doesn't have a ride with Gibbs next year. So why not? And I think Kyle Busch would be a great fit for the organization.
I think so as well. If only Reddick was going to be there. If it was a true business, he would have gotten rid of Austin Dillon, kept Reddick, and put Kyle Busch into the 3 car.
That won't ever happen.
Unfortunately, he's never going to get rid of Dillon. Like he's just going to keep funneling money down that freaking waste pit.
Right. It's just a weight there at the end of the boat that's just pulling them down. I think if anything, the experience that Kyle Busch has could help out that organization. Am I expecting him to come out of the gate, win the Daytona 500, and be in contention for a championship? No. It takes a while to gel with the race team. He's going from Toyota, which he's been with for 17 years, into a Chevy, which he hasn't been in since Hendrick Motorsports. Not that that's going to mean much of a difference. A car tomorrow, Chevy's the same as a Toyota, really. but I'm sure the politics are a little different. I'm sure Toyota's upset to lose him. But
yeah, Toyota wanted to keep him bad.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
like, I think Toyota's going to open up their own racing team and have Kyle Busch drive for them.
Yeah, I wouldn't have doubted that one. But then with that leaves the 18 car open, and I think all signs point to Ty Gibbs coming in full time next season in that.
Another grandson.
Yep. Hey, you know someone, you know someone. I mean, for me, it's kind of who you know, and I think
never mind.
I mean,
no,
if it was
I don't think it's
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Gibbs is going to put that team seat.
I think Kyle Busch is just going to get on there and say, just kidding, guys, there's not an announcement.
He's going to go right back to Joe Gibbs. Oh,
no, he's just going to say, we don't have any updates.
Well, he's already done that in the press conference.
I know. I just think he's making a big deal out of it, and then he's going to get up there. Just kidding. We don't have any announcements.
If that happens, Charlie, I'll buy you a case of beer.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I've never seen Kyle Busch be a joker like that, and if he does, it really.
So as many leaks, I guess there's been, and him going saying they're going to go to RCR. That's probably what's going to happen. The question is, do they release Reddick a year early and him just go ahead and go to 2311 a year early, and they stay a 2-car team, or do they acquire another charter, or do they just race and keep it as a open car? Because as of right now, if I'm not mistaken, all the charters are spoken for.
Well, you got to understand too, does Kurt Busch come back? I haven't heard really much of an update about Kurt Busch. And if he doesn't come back,
if it doesn't come back, then
just put Reddick into the 45.
Just you go ahead and release Reddick a year early, and Busch go ahead and jump into the 8-car.
Reddick to the 45.
Yep.
Ty Gibbs to the 18. Done.
Yep. That's how it plays out.
It's going to be interesting how it plays out here. It really is. Looking forward to if this is the case. I think it'll help out the organization. Like I said, I don't think there'll be a championship contending team right out of the gate because they're not one right now.
I think they make the playoffs. I'll say that now. I think they make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they will too. But I mean, they made the playoffs now. Austin Dillon's below the cut line with one race to go in this round, and Tyler Reddick's flirting with the cut line. So who knows? To me, not only that, who's going to sponsor the car?
That's what was going to be my next question.
Are Reddick sponsors going to stay there with Kyle Busch, knowing that he's coming on? We're just going to have.
I think they leave and go with Reddick.
Who? Who's
Reddick,
that?
Reddick sponsors.
Reddick sponsors.
Oh, with Dow and all them?
Yeah, go with Reddick.
No, Dow's been with RCR forever.
Yeah. All right, we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe that'll come out in the press conference tomorrow.
Dow, 3M, all them's been with RCR forever.
All right. Yep. Well, anything else regards to the Cup races from Kansas, the Formula One Grand Prix from Italy, and the Indy Car finale for you guys before we get into our upcoming races this weekend?
I'm good.
Okay. The upcoming races this weekend, big weekend of racing here. All 3 series going to be competing there at the Bristol Motor Speedway, starting off with the Truck Series Thursday, September 15th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on FS1. That's going to be a fun race. The cutoff race, the final, or I shouldn't say the cutoff race, the season finale for the regular season finale for the Xfinity Series there at the Bristol Motor Speedway, Friday, September 16th on the USA Network at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the big race, the final race in the round of 16, Saturday, September 17th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on USA. Again, this is going to be the first time in 3 years, just like Darlington. I'm not going to be able to make it to the Bristol night race, unfortunately. But this weekend is going to be my daughter's dedication at church. That takes priority. So, winners for the Truck, Xfinity, and Cup race here. I'm going to start off with Austin, who wins this weekend at Kansas. No Formula One race and Indy Car season's over. no Formula One race until I believe the 30th of September when we're at Talladega. So, Austin, who wins the Truck Xfinity and Cup races this weekend?
Truck race, I got Ty Majeski. Xfinity, I got Noah Gragson winning 3 in a row. And then Bristol, I actually have Chase Elliott winning.
All right. Charlie, what about you?
I'm not sure if he's running because he's only ran part-time for KBM this year. But if Corey Heim is running for KBM at Bristol, I got him winning Bristol in the Truck Series.
Solid pick right there.
Yeah, that is a solid pick.
For the Xfinity, I'll go with Barry.
Okay.
And Cup Series, Harvick.
That was my second pick. I actually took notes for this week's episode. Pick 2 drivers for every race because I always get screwed.
Truck Series, Zane Smith. Xfinity, Allmendinger. And Cup Series, I think the Hail Mary pays off Kevin Harvick. Gets the win because he needs that to advance. In my opinion, he needs that to advance.
Does he win it cleanly or does he move somebody?
No,
If he's got to move somebody, he moves somebody.
I think Harvick will put the bumper to somebody to go to the next round.
But he's got to be careful not to put the bumper to him, to the driver with 30 laps to do, then to come out with fresh tires and deja vu all over again. And that's going to be if that happens again, that's going to be the episode title for next week, Deja Vu at Bristol. All right, gentlemen. Anything else before we get into our final thoughts, which is our This Week in NASCAR in our fantasy standings following the Kansas race?
Corey Heim is running.
Corey Heim is running. Okay. So, but anything else before we get into our final thoughts here, gentlemen? All right, let's get into it.
White flag, white flag. White flag, white flag. White flag. 1 lap to go. 1 lap right here.
Final thoughts here on this week's episode of Ramblin About Racing. Thank you to all who have joined in, whether you're watching this live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter, or if you're joining us on your regular podcast platform. Really do appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun doing this show, and it's only going to get better, and I just can't wait for Talladega. I'm still debating whether to bring the podcast equipment there. Because
and just do it Sunday night.
Just do it.
Get some fan interaction.
It's gonna be such a bad show because it's gonna be it just got done with the race, and then just poof.
Hey,
Got a goodie powder.
Maybe this.
I got some liquid IVs.
Maybe we can bring everything and do a special for our Patreons. And if you want to join our Patreon, that could be found at ramblinaboutracing.com, different tiers for that. And if you want, we could do a special for our Patreon. We'll think about it. We'll plan that. We got to plan that. It's something that needs to be planned. They can't just be thrown out there, in my opinion. But see, all plans go to the wayside once alcohol is involved.
All proceeds.
All proceeds go to what, Charlie?
I don't know. My race team.
Whatever benefits Charlie, huh?
Just kidding. They go back to the show. Jeez, I was just kidding.
All right, this week in NASCAR and the fantasy standings following Kansas. Charlie, you want to start off with fantasy standings, or you want me to go with?
I guess I'll start off with fantasy standings. All right. You're still sitting 7th. Did you forget to do your lineup again?
No, remember last week's episode I did my lineup, but I just ended up finishing 7th.
Oh, okay. 4,356 points. 6th is S Blades with 4,755. Preston ain't Preston SMR operations?
Preston is SMR operations, yes.
He took a big hit. He's sitting 5th now from 2nd. 4,758.
He got chastained.
Yes, he did.
Big time.
I couldn't mute it in time. I'm sorry. I couldn't catch it. Fourth is Matt Camper, 4,816. Third is SMR R&D, 4,832. Super Sumo 32 has made a huge jump with 4,853. I'm still sitting first with 5,111.
And you're still in the lead.
Yeah, I had a horrible showing.
Well, what's crazy about this is SMR R&D is a 2-time defending champion of this league. He has won it every year since we started doing this back in, I think, 2020. And he's won it every year.
That would be 2 years defending.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie. Okay. This week in NASCAR, you always have to do that, huh, Charlie? This week in NASCAR, we go back to September 17th, 1961. David Pearson takes the lead on the final lap and wins his third Superspeedway race of the year at the Dixie 400 at Atlanta. Short and sweet, September 17th, 1961. And gentlemen, that will about do it for this week's episode, unless anybody else has any saved rounds before we end the show.
I'm good. I like it. About an hour long.
Yep, about an hour long. Nice little drive into work or drive away from work. Let's just say we'll be in the pre-planning position of maybe doing something for Patreon there at Talladega.
We need to start planning for Talladega because it'll be.
I think that's going to be a great idea. I'm already packed.
Oh, Charlie, just meet us there. Just go ahead and set up the site. A couple weeks early.
I'm going to leave. I'll be there Thursday morning. I will be ready for y'all.
You want something to pick me up?
Are we going to take the same vehicle? Because that way, if you have to leave, you can leave.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I'm hoping them freaking kids don't do something like that.
Whoa. Look at you. You ain't been a dad for 3 weeks and you're already.
Goodness, man.
Listen, I had a 2-race deal contract signing. I can't make the next race of drive.
Yeah, that's coming out. That's like that contract's null and void.
I really hope your wife isn't listening to this because then she's going to be thinking, oh, yeah, watch this. Watch him jump. Watch me say jump.
Let me just go ahead. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, my goodness.
They're good and behaving. They're cool, calm, relaxed, kind of like me. They'll stay in the Nicky till I get back. Then they can come home.
Okay. All right. Well, gentlemen, I can't wait for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. What we got? Let's look at the schedule here. Bristol, Texas, Talladega.
3 weeks, man. 3 weeks.
Oh, I can't wait. We're going to have so much fun. All right.
Well, I got everything laid out in the living room, taking inventory.
Yeah, I need to start bringing stuff down from the attic.
I've got Emma making me do a showdown. Matt got it.
Yeah, I know exactly what. I think what we call it in the Marine Corps pre-deployment junk on the bunk.
Oh gosh,
those days sucked. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here on this week's episode of Ramblin' About Racing. Here, thank you so much for tuning in to us and watching us or listening to us, whether you're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Twitch live, or during the replay or your regular podcast platform. Really do appreciate you showing up. Make sure to head over to ramblinabout.racing.com. The links to all of our social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube for the latest and greatest in the world of auto racing. Make sure to go check out our partners, too, of the show, Stand to Cancer and Fanatics, for all they do, not only for us here at Ramblin' About Racing, but for what they do at B.U.R.N Radio as well. For Charlie Hercus, Chuck 8384, Austin Reeves, Austin_Reeves 6. I'm Matt Beamer, MBeamer22. All of those on Twitter. All of those can be found at ramblingaboutracing.com. Stay safe and have a good rest of your week.